Blog Talk Radio.
He took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom, I'll keep my guns, try to keep my money and my religion too. Now keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that. I'm going to keep my big BA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need. We know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. And my guest today is John Nutter of Lone Wolf Solar. And folks, let me tell you something. I'm going to probably start doing commercials on this radio show because you need it. You need to understand. You need to listen to the show. You need to pass this show on to other your people, your family. Because what we're talking about here, we're trying to tell you what's to come, what's happening, based on an extensive research of history. We're almost in a time loop. The people that want to, the elitists out there, from all the way back from the days of ancient Egypt, when they had the slave doing whatever they have. Now, it's happening here. John, tell me about this.
Yeah. Good God. Where do you start?
Good. It's kind of tough. Now, one of the problems, I think, John, I think the elite may have been right on one point. That the population of the world is too goddamn dumb to rule themselves, to govern themselves. Because I get more static from the so-called Christians that are worried about the Antichrist coming, and of course we're getting static from the ADL and Southern Poverty Law that don't want you to know the role the Jews have played in world government for about 5,000 years, and somewhere in that period of time, well, our Savior showed up, and the bastards killed him immediately.
Yeah. Works for me. Of course, I don't even think he ever existed, but then, that's just me, I guess.
Well, there's a question. Now, I've asked a question. Maybe you can answer that for me. And I actually think I ought to do a setup for this. Because up on your site, you posted something that I think is pretty relevant. On Solar for Everyone, you say, please cease trying to save me by insisting that your religion is better than anyone else and somehow the top dog of life. I've grown rather tired of being assaulted by Christians who don't mind lying to get what they want. I'm not a Christian and never will be one. I do not believe in God's heaven, hell, and have never believed in little green men either. I don't know. I think there's been I think there's been more evidence of little green men than heaven or hell or the gods. John.
Well, you know, I really don't care what someone believes. I really don't. If someone thinks that they can sit on the hood of their car, shove Hostess Twinkies up their nose, and somehow or other they'll become a millionaire from that, I don't care. But the moment someone's beliefs starts interfering with what I plan or wish to do with my life, then we've got problems.
Well, I have made that statement, John. That's why I'm really glad to have you on, and we'll be exploring this article and this system of beliefs, because I've told people the Constitution protects you. The Constitution and our Bill of Rights, which I honor, tells us that we can worship any way we want. So if you want to go beat your head against that Wailing Wall, go ahead. I'll watch. If you want to stick your nose in the dirt and your ass up in the air and pray to Mecca, I'll try to keep the Saint Bernard off of you.
I'll use it for a bike rack.
And if you're a Christian and you want to get on your knees and pray to God for a Cadillac, go right ahead. Don't expect me to get down on my knees beside you. Don't expect me to accept your version of God. You can see, have you accepted God? Have you accepted Jesus? Have you accepted Jesus as your Lord and Master? Well, no, I haven't accepted anybody as my Lord and Master. But tell you what, have him come up and show me his ID, and maybe I could join your team then. What do you think?
Yeah. I hate to tell the Christians this, but in their Bible, it states that if they have the quote unquote Holy Spirit, they have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and the last one is self-control. That means you're not under anyone's thumb, you're not anyone's slave, and you don't have a Lord and Master. You are your own Lord and Master.
Would that be what the FBI is now trying to paint as a dangerous sovereign?
Yeah, probably.
Yes. I mean, they've killed people. They've killed people because they were teaching people about the IRS and the mortgage system and how to fight that. They killed a couple of people, a man and his son, and then Southern Poverty Law tried to paint them out as they're a dangerous sovereign.
Yeah, they don't want you to be. Actually, they don't want you to buck the system. If you voluntarily use a Federal Reserve note, voluntarily file a 1040, or voluntarily receive Social Security, then you have voluntarily committed yourself to a unilateral contract where you become a federal citizen. I'm not a federal citizen because I've never signed anything over to the government where they gave full disclosure on what I was getting into. So I am an American, period. American citizen with a capital C, not a federal citizen.
I've made a statement a lot of times, John. I hate to be the only free American out there.
Yeah, well, there's two of us now. I wish there were more, but talking to people is like talking to a rock. As long as they can eat, sleep, watch TV, and drive their car, they seem to be content. If it isn't happening to them, it isn't happening at all. I think it's nuts. It's like, God, what do you do? I've been talking to people for the last 4 or 5 days, email back and forth. What in the hell do you do? How do you get people to just listen, understand? I mean, there are people out there trying to kill us. The United States government brought Russian troops up to Fort Carson, Colorado, so that it teach them how to do urban warfare and pick up terrorists.
And we are the terrorists. They are trying everything they're doing. All of the propaganda, all of the weight of the Southern Poverty Law and the ADL and the paper and the newspapers and the television. They are trying to paint Americans, veterans, oath keepers as terrorists. They're trying to do that.
Yeah, I talked to, or I emailed with John Stone, or James Stone. I guess he did the math. We outnumber them by like 49 to 1. But the problem is, where do you find 49 people willing to stand up for themselves?
Well, that is the hard thing. You know, people want to turn away from me. You know, when I try to tell them the truth, they want to try to turn away from me. They want to. They pull out the names. You know, you talk about illegal immigration, you're a racist. You talk about taxes, you're anti-government. I'm the most pro-government guy out there. I know what the government, as Benjamin Franklin said, what form of government do you have? A constitutional republic, ma'am, if you can keep it.
Apparently we couldn't keep it.
Apparently not.
Because it was when George Herbert Walker Bush, in a speech to the nation, said, "I can see a new world order coming into view." And then he called us a democracy, and everybody's been calling us a democracy ever since, because that's what we've become under the U.S. Code, a democracy. We couldn't keep the republic because nobody wanted to stand up and say, "Oh no, excuse me, that's wrong."
Well, or, you know, part of this is the programming. The Jews took over television. The Zionists took over television. The communists took over whatever name you want. My God, whatever name you want. And let me, you made a statement here. Let me do this. Hang on a second.
We can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order.
The New World Order does not mean surrendering our national sovereignty or forfeiting our interests.
Well, that's bullshit. That's a lie.
No shit. That's exactly what he did.
Hang on just a second. This is Carl Klang, and kind of appropriate.
When your ears refuse to hear, you turn your heart away from me each time when I draw near. Your eyes refuse to meet with mine, they glance away in fear, as if you should not look at your reflection with fear. How can I explain to you when you won't understand? You scoff me and you mock me and reject the truth at hand. You spread your vicious rumors all across this troubled land. You willfully and knowingly transgress from his command. Your mind has been made up by people you don't know. Thought machines control the scene so well it doesn't show. How can I contain this anguish and this pain, knowing that your eyes are blinded by the lies?
Well, that's pretty appropriate. Carl Klang wrote that song about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And some of our worst enemies, John, and I especially want to talk with this about you, because you've talked about the whole gang stalking, and you can tell us the real name of that in just a second. But I mean, they're really things are heating up here. Go ahead, tell us about this gang stalking. Tell me about that. The point I'm trying to make here is some of our own worst enemies are our neighbors next door, our families who are going, "Oh, you're believing this conspiracy stuff. You got into this anti-government stuff," and our own families, our own neighbors, our own countrymen become our enemies. It's happening in the patriot movement. You know, oh, this patriot, well, he's working for the government. Well, oh, this patriot, he's a con artist. Oh, this patriot is living in a trailer and talking about raising a garden. You know, this is what we get. And these are our neighbors. These are our people. Instead of backing us up, instead of just standing back and keeping their mouth shut, they become our enemies. Tell me. The people that are you talk about in the gang stalking, and you'll tell us the correct phrase of that in a second. The people here, those are our neighbors. Those are our countrymen. These are our county commissioners. Come on, what's happening? Is that aren't we our own worst enemy? Go ahead, John Nutter's my guest.
The proper phrase is in community, no touch torture.
In community, no touch torture.
It is a CIA, that Central Intelligence Agency, mind control program. What most people don't understand is that these people have targets. The targets are not the targets. The primary target for the mind control program are the people that are snitching on everybody else, following them in their cars, driving certain colored cars past your house.
Yeah, Clay, watch out for that silver truck. Watch out for that silver truck. What's that supposed to do? Make me paranoid every time I see a silver truck? Fuck you! I don't get paranoid over police cars either. Go ahead.
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to understand color coding, so that they can trigger a thought in your mind by using color. Or they use precision driving, like 3 cars will be going down the road 20 feet apart, then there'll be 100-foot space, and then you get another car. What they're trying to get you to see is 31. Or they'll have 3 cars 20 feet apart, 100-foot space, and 3 more cars 100 or 20 feet apart. They're trying to make you see the number 33, which is one of the favorite numbers of the Masonry, Luciferian, occult bullshit religion. But, yeah, the primary targets for the in-community no-touch torture is to get people used to snitching on other people, watching other people, surveilling other people, and using directed energy weapons against people.
I've had just as an aside here, one of the incidents that occurred is I was driving my diesel pickup to pick up somebody at an airport in Albuquerque, who probably would never have been there, but the truck died in the middle of the street. I had it towed. I made it to a parking lot. I had it towed in to the Ford dealer, and they said, "Well, your glow plug harness burnt out." And I said, "How could a glow plug harness, which only works when you turn the key on, doesn't work while it's not? They're not working while you're running. How could a glow plug harness fry? And my computer in the back of the truck fried. How could that happen?"
It's called an EMF weapon. They can take, hell, they can use a laser, for that matter, to fry out your computer. Really. I had one burnt out while it was in my vehicle.
And if they can't do that, they break into your house and steal all of your guns and computers.
They try not to steal anything where they can be traced. I have had sunglasses stolen, an ashtray stolen, my best pen, which was the kind you put your own ink in. I've had my headset stolen. I've had keyboards missing, mice missing. But they don't take anything that can be traced, like a computer. Well, actually, a laptop, you never get them one back. But they try not to take a gun because it has a serial number. They try not to take anything where you will call the cops. They just want you to make you think you're going crazy. You lost it, or you misplaced it, or you left it somewhere. That's called gaslighting. It was from a 1948 movie by the same name, where a man was trying to make his wife think she was going crazy by playing with the gaslights. But that's part of the in-community, no-touch torture. Make you think you're crazy.
They have tried to do that. They have tried to do that, and sometimes it's difficult to hold on when your family turns against you, when your neighbors turn against you, when businesses, what. Somebody said something about paranoia. They're trying to make you paranoid. I'm not personally. I don't think I'm being followed. If you want to know what I think, I've walked into the FBI office. So you want to know what I think? You don't have to save taxpayers' money. You don't have to tap my phone. You can watch my television show. You can listen to my radio show and know everything I'm thinking.
Most people, they look around and they say the government's not doing anything bad. They wouldn't do anything bad. Hell, they smiled at us when they said that. But when we have an election, does anybody ever notice that all of the people, or the only people that are allowed to run for any government office, is a former government employee? I mean, shit. George Herbert Walker Bush was the head of the CIA when JFK was killed.
That's right.
He was in government.
He was also bringing in all the cocaine to his partner in Mena, Arkansas, Bill Clinton, from Colombia, and George Bush used the special forces to go down, take out the Medellin cartel, set up the Cali cartel, and he used special forces to build radio guide towers to bring the planes into his other partner, Manuel Noriega.
That's fact. But everybody that's running for office right now, except for Ron Paul, he's never been a government employee. Everybody else works for the government, or used to work for the government. But nobody seems to notice that. They don't pick someone out of the general population to be president, or head up the Treasury Department, or the head of the CIA. It's always a former government employee or a high-ranking military official. So, the government's got everything closed up in their favor.
We have more employees. The federal government is the largest employer in the United States, so our economy depends on the government. So everybody's scared to death of us. We would close that government down. We would do what Kennedy wanted to do.
Our country survived for the first 250 years without a government of any kind. Then all of a sudden, these gracious leaders decided, oh, we're getting bigger, we need a government. So they brought up a constitutional republic. That lasted for a whole 13 years. Ever since the Constitution of September 17th, 1789, we've been headed towards a democracy and world government.
Our founding fathers knew what a democracy. Our founding fathers knew what a democracy was. Benjamin Franklin said there were two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. And Thomas Jefferson, that radical, he told you if you ever allow a private bank to issue your money, your children will wake up homeless in the land that we conquered.
That's fact. And we're about headed for that right now.
1 million people have lost their homes. Now, John, the other thing that I've been reporting on this and studying this history for 20 years. I'm working on my bachelor's degree in political science and divinity. I've been studying this, and I tried to come up with answers. I hear the same stories, basic stories, over and over and over again. You got you've got people going to jail. Somebody pointed a finger at them. Somebody said this. Somebody they said this or that, and they're being attacked. I used to call myself the canary in the coal mine, but it seems like it's happening to more and more people now as more and more people wake up. And maybe that's what 9/11 was all about. Maybe we're looking at all this wrong. Maybe we keep trying to figure out who planned to explode, where it was, or how did they do this, what happened, who was responsible. The Jews are pointing the fingers at the Muslims. The Jews were responsible for it. I owned the building, and that it was almost so bold, so in your face that you just, common sense tells you that a plane ain't gonna knock that's hit the top of a building ain't gonna bring it down from the bottom. Maybe they did all this on purpose to make the so the American people would actually realize that we're being controlled. We're nothing more than slaves right now to these people, and they did this to start a war to kill more of our citizens, kill more of our soldiers, kill more of. Well, Iraq wasn't enough, so we sent them over to Afghanistan, to fight against the people that kicked the Russians out. Oh, I'm sorry, we did that. They did that with our help, but and then they became Al Qaeda. Now,
Yeah,
this whole thing is so big. It's so big, John, that most people can't even get a handle on it. But I think the answers that I came up with after 25 years was to put your own communities together. Take over the small. Start in the town that you're in. Start in the county that you're in. Work with the sheriff. Don't become an outlaw. They want us to become outlaws. They try to portray us as outlaws for standing up against the Federal Reserve. If we do that, we're falling into their trap. They laid it for us. They set us up for it.
People aren't listening. They're really not. And when they have an opportunity to listen, they don't. If you go back to 2006, 2007, you will find videos of Tony Blair, who was Prime Minister at the time, and George W. Bush. Both of them said Al-Qaeda does not exist as a human being. It is an idea. It is a philosophy. But most people think that Al-Qaeda is a bunch of people. It is not. It's a philosophy. It's a way people fight. God, and you can't get anybody to listen. Nobody wants to hear it. They want to believe whatever they say on friggin' Fox or whatever Hannity says or whatever Rush Limbaugh says. It must be the truth because they said it. Someone important said it. Holy shit, if we could just get people to listen and do the right thing. You're right. You have to start in your own neighborhood. You've got to reach over, go talk to your neighbor over the fence.
Now let's take a scenario here. Now what the vision that I had and what I thought we needed to do, I thought we needed to get to back to the country. Anytime a communist regime takes over a country, they go after three classes of people in order. They go after the farmers first, they go after the intelligentsia next, and the veterans and law enforcement that are still loyal to the old regime. Is that correct?
That's correct.
They have been after the farmers for 100 years. The fact that marijuana is illegal in this country, hemp is illegal in this country, is because the communists stole it from you with the help of the newspaper William Randolph Hearst. And they have taken this away. This whole thing is a war on the farmers. And now they're when people are waking up and realizing that Monsanto is not your friend. Monsanto, no food, we don't own Monsanto. And the food they're producing is poisonous. Rats won't eat it, but they're feeding it to